Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our BKB Wool Market Report with myself, Leon du Plessis, Jacques, and then we're privileged enough to have Andrew Pape from Modiano with us today. Welcome, Andrew.
Hi there everyone.
Jacques, I think we've been saying it for 4 weeks in a row now, but again, we had some improvement in the market. We had a good day. In spite of a huge offering, we had a good day.
Yeah, there was a 2-day sale, and we've seen it the first day that the bottom ends actually improved a lot.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So your white wools, we had an offering of white wools, 75 Rand average. It's a while that we've seen that average on a nice white wool clip.
Andrew, what might the reason be? We've seen 4 weeks in a row from where the market were around about bottom, and we had some good improvements in the past 4 weeks. What were your main client base is in Europe. What might the reason be for this movement that we're experiencing currently?
So, without a doubt, the biggest factor has been the Chinese zero COVID policy being abandoned. That was, that had a terrible effect on the market. Some of the mills, if they had even one case in a mill, they had to close down the whole mill. And some of the measures were really draconian. It was really having a terrible effect on the market confidence of the Chinese role players. And when China takes 80% of the wool, they're dictating the market.
Absolutely.
So since the zero COVID policy has been abandoned, obviously there's been a lot of COVID cases in China, but I think the local population is actually realizing, like the rest of the world, you have to learn to live with COVID, and are finding obviously the economic aspect of having an open society is far more important than having COVID cases. So COVID is a bit rampant in China, but I think the effects hasn't been nearly as bad as what they expected. That has had a roll-on effect on market confidence within China. So we've certainly seen a lot more orders coming out of China, but also at the same time, demand out of Europe has been pretty good, let's be honest. And you can see from the end of November, our last sale to current levels, non-ROWS wools are up just short of 20%, and the sustainable lots are up over 20%. So, in rand terms, that's certainly looking a lot better than it was in November.
Definitely. From Europe side, we were struggling a while, and I think that one of the main feedbacks we received from is just mainly to get a budget on the energy cost for the mills to run. Has that been sorted with the Ukrainian war going on, etc.? So they actually had an energy crisis as well. They were experiencing blackouts as well.
Yeah. Look, certainly I think there was a period where everyone was still very reliant on Russia, but it seems that alternative arrangements have been made, and it's one of those things that sometimes takes a bit of time to fall into place. We certainly have seen an improvement there from our mill in the Czech Republic. There was certainly quite a bit of concern about the energy situation towards the end of last year, but it certainly seems to have, it's not come right, but alternative arrangements have been made. And the energy
it's like COVID,
have come down. So
everybody learned to adopt to it, and
exactly.
And we carry on. And you can see it on the 18.5 microns. The premium on 18.5 improved on the RWS 18.5. So, and that's what you said. It's from Europe where that demand is stronger.
We certainly had some very good inquiries out of Italy. Obviously, you sometimes do find a variation in terms of the price premium between different lots. Some of the Italian clients are very, very specific in terms of what they require. So whether it is very high MKTs or very low mid breaks, or the VM should be closer to 0.5 than to 1. sometimes you can find massive premiums for wool that ticks all the boxes essentially.
And there were a lot of them. We had some nice clips. It was a nice offering. There was a couple of nice Barclay clips, Western Cape, Riversdal, Heidelberg. Those 6 months clips were nice prepared.
Yeah, no, I mean the wool, there's certainly no complaints with the classing standards of South African wool. The fact that our wool is generally low VM and not a lot of fault, that's part of the factor that is affecting the Australian clip. There were quite a lot of overlong wools, faulty wools, off-spec, the low yielding. So very often when you also have a big percentage of those wools on offer, or a relatively big percentage compared to normal, it affects the market indicator, the AWEX market indicator. So in South Africa, by and large, most of our wools are really of a good standard, and that's why we're getting the premiums.
Talking about wool with good standard, we had a top 5 with some beautiful wool in it, with 2 of the lots in the top 5 that Modiano bought. William Whip, Prairie Farming from Hemel, 15.6 micron, 254 rand. Jurgens Creer from Modiano, 3 consecutive lots, 334.10, all 3 lots, of which you bought 2 of them. And then Jacobus Leroux from Fort Beaufort, with a lot of 233. Jacobus, of course, still holding the SA record of 303 rand a kilo. Will we be seeing 303 rand a kilo soon again?
Well, we certainly hope so. The expectation is that the market will continue improving this year. If you actually consider the price, where the price levels are now compared to 2018 at the peak, there's certainly a lot of room for improvement. There don't seem to be too many complaints, certainly not from my clients, about price. The biggest issue has actually been a demand issue. After COVID and the crisis in the Ukraine-Russia war, there's certainly affected demand. So the chances of the market going up are certainly a lot better than it easing at any stage. Obviously, part of the decline in the market from 2018 till now has been offset by the weakening rand. So we have been lucky, but when you think the EMI is just around about $10 at the moment, and it was more than 50% higher in 2018, there's certainly room for decent improvement.
Yeah. And well, I think back to the basics. Just do the classing standards. Keep to it. Keep to your spec, and VM, like you said, that is for the top prices. That's where they're picking it out. And there is the clips that producing that.
Certainly, if you're putting in the effort in your sharing shed and you're making sure no contamination, you're properly classing the lots, because unfortunately with us buyers, when we value a lot, if you find one little bit of stain that's somehow come across into a fleece line, you mark that down, right down to a bottom standard, so you can be taking it from a spinner style wool to a lock top. Classing is just imperative. If you get it right in the sharing shed, when you're doing the classing, that goes a long way. And the buyers know the farmers that they can consistently see are preparing the wool properly and are taking the care. We, for example, would certainly, if we find a farmer that we're finding fault or stain or poly or whatever the case is in the club, we take note of who that farmer is for future years.
Of course.
So it's not just necessarily being penalised on
that week.
1 week. Like a lot of the guys do the same, and you've got a mark against your name, so you need to make sure that doing it properly, you know, at the start.
You've got a long history with your dad. Been starting the business and it's been carried over to you, and that's, like I said, it's the name of the farmer that's your pride.
Yeah, you've got to get it right. Look, I mean, sometimes obviously mistakes can happen, and we would then look at the history of the farmer. If we know for the last 10 years the guys had produced beautiful wool, and through no fault of his own, sometimes something can happen that, you know, where we've seen something falls into the bale when it's being packed, you know, sometimes. But at the same time, we know the good farmers, and we would take that into account. So it's not like a farmer is going to be penalised forever if something happens. But certainly, more than often, the guys, it happens from this year, we look at his clip more carefully next year, and very often you're going to find it from year to year in the same farmers. So that's something, if the farmers can sort out at that level, you will start seeing better returns, definitely.
Jacques, you were looking at some of the farmers who actually got it right, and we can see it on the averages prior to the recording.
Yeah.
There were a few guys who did really well.
From Refusonne in Vergunplaatse, 149 rand average for a 7-month clip. That's good for a 7-month clip. And yeah, it's Vergunplaatse, Kranskou boerdery, you can call them all. Okay, Valkop is a 12-month clip from Heidelberg. But again, it's a 6-month clip, but the longest length is a 62, 64 or 10 length. So it's close to a B length.
Yeah.
So the days that you're seeing a 6-month, a C length, that's gone by. With selection, they improved it.
Yeah.
It's possible, yeah.
Certainly.
So that's where the prem types improved. We've seen it last week and this week as well. The prem lens.
There certainly is currently, certainly on the non-RWS, there is definitely a big premium on the longer length wools, just because there's so little of it. But you know, that kind of, to me, the 8-month shearing is probably the sweet spot of getting a longer length. That very often it can go into both types. You know, it can qualify for the long blend when we're making up the blend, or it could also go into the shorter blend to bring the length up a bit if you're putting in some 54s.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that 8-month clip period is obviously, for myself and our company, we think it's the sweet spot, and a lot of the other wool buying firms think the same thing. So,
Andrew, thanks a lot for your time. Appreciate it. Thanks.
good to sit with you guys.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Next week we have Catalogue 19, selling Catalogue 19. It's quite a huge catalogue, so with a lot of wool on offer. But nevertheless, we'll have a market report ready just after the auction again. Thank you and goodbye.
Cheers.
Cheers.